We got to get to the Bachelorette because my shit was just blowing up. I cannot believe what they did to a man on this show. I was beside myself. So people who don't watch this show, I get it, right? It's crazy. This season of The Bachelorette was a giant clusterfuck because for the first time they brought 2 bachelorettes on. And the whole season, honestly, if you like to get lost in mindless television, you should watch it. Because the whole season is the 2 women out and they try to like get guys, right? And you have it's a sea of rejection. One guy's like, thanks for the offer for the rose, but I don't like you. I actually like this other one, this other girl. So like it's constant rejection. It's a sea of tears. It's horrible. Anyway, let's fast forward to the end. We're going to focus on Rachel and Tino. Y'all see that shit that happened with Rachel and Tino? Let's see. They get engaged. Rachel and Tino get engaged. Now, Tino is not the guy that Rachel really liked. We all know that. Tino's family was batshit crazy. She goes home to meet Tino's family, and it's seriously like a horror movie, the way they behave. Like, you just want to be, like, you would meet that family, and there'd be skid marks from where you're sitting to the front door to get out. Family's crazy, everything. But the guy she really likes is Avon, and Avon doesn't want to marry her. So Avon comes to her and says, listen, I love you. I want to be with you. I want to date you. I want to leave here with you, but I'm not ready to give you a ring today. She's like, well, fuck no. I can't do that. I need to be engaged when I leave. So she lets the guy she really likes go. I think she thought he was going to come around. She was going to say, no, I need to be engaged. He was going to come around and be like, okay, will you marry me? Avon was like, no, I'm not doing it. So she picks this guy, Tino, with the crazy ass family. How she thought she was going to work through that shit, I don't know. But she's convinced. They leave together. There's drama that ensues. Drama. We don't know exactly what happened, but they tell us essentially that she went into therapy. And by the time the show actually premieres on air, the couple's having all these problems and there's all this stuff being said. And there's, they're talking about maybe we should just go back to dating. And she's saying to him, well, I'm going to have to take the ring off if we're going to go back to dating, all this stuff. So what does The Bachelorette do? Of course, they want the drama. They take cameras and they follow them to what becomes the end stage of this saga, and we see it unfold. And what we find out through this whole thing is that in the midst of all the problems, Tino decided that he was going to go to a bar and he makes out with a girl. This is a girl that he met before the show started. Nothing had happened between them. He makes out with her on one occasion, and that's it, he claims. He comes home from that and he doesn't tell Rachel. Okay, they're still in the midst of their problems. They're trying to figure everything out. He doesn't tell her because he doesn't know what to say, he says. They wind up getting back together and making everything right. And ultimately, she senses something's wrong and pulls this information out of him. So fast forward, and we're looking at the 2 of them on the couch having a conversation. And she's furious because he went and made out with this other girl. And he says, he takes out a journal. People, he took out a journal that he had kept, writing everything she said down. And he comes back and he says, well, you said to me once, quote, I don't know how this is going to work. I'm in a bad place and I can't put effort into this. And he basically says, Rachel, like, I thought you were out. You were talking about going back dating. You weren't going to wear the ring. You were saying you didn't have effort. And she's saying, you're taking me out of context. And anyway, it's a clusterfuck, right? We're all sitting there saying, well, did he cheat because he thought it was done? Did he cheat because he's just an asshole? He shouldn't have cheated. Listen, bottom line, Tino should not have cheated, right? Again, they didn't have an understanding that they were broken up. This is not like Ross and Rachel where you're like, was it a break? It was not a break. They both say we were not on a break, okay? They're not on a break. He shouldn't have cheated. He obviously shouldn't have lied to her because he doesn't tell her until she pulls it out of him. So he was going to hold that information back. It was eating him up. Okay. You get to the end of the season and they have this fight on the couch. You see it all play out. They go live, The Bachelorette, right? And Tino is sitting on the couch. And throughout the whole thing, by the way, all you hear, Rachel's a little weird. She's saying to him, you're not apologizing. And he's saying, Rachel, I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have done this. I made a huge mistake. You're all I want. I would take you and I at our worst rather than me and someone else at our best. And she's like, why aren't you apologizing? So I'm like, well, fuck, he just did. I mean, listen, you don't want to take him back. That's on fine. You know how people at home, you know how I feel. I'm not into cheating. So I would be like, honey, you're not for me. End of story. Bye. I'm out. But what is this like disconnect that he was no. And I came to understand in that moment that even though Tino had done something wrong, this was a public humiliation that the Bachelorette had staged. He goes through this whole spiel about how you're it for me. And she does this very rehearsed, I'm done. Honey, you knew you were done before he showed up at the house, but the producers told you to bring him there and humiliate him. Let's say what happened here. So what happens is this guy does something wrong, goes out, makes out with this girl, and it becomes an opportunity for the franchise to just castrate him publicly. So he is painted as a horror show. Now, we don't know what went on behind the scenes and what was really said. Both of them say repeatedly that the whole story was not aired, and I think it was requested that some things were kept private about what was going on in that time period that caused them to behave the way they did. So we don't know what those things were. We don't know what impact that had on each of them. Again, I'm not justifying cheating. I'm not into that. But what I am saying is, wasn't there an adult way to handle this? In a situation, everybody bears some responsibility in a relationship. No, not in this situation. It was like, Rachel had all but a halo around her. It was like the second coming of Christ. And this guy, you would have thought he butchered somebody up with an axe. So they get to the final day. And this is what I want to show you. Because this, honestly, I was like, you know when you get acid reflux and it just rises up? They bring Tino back again. They're all sitting on the stage. Of course, it's public humiliation. You see the host, that Jesse guy. He's horrible, by the way. They should bring back, what's his name? Guy's a horrible host. It's just insufferable to watch him. And he's trying to be emotive, but he's a terrible actor. And he's like, Rachel, what you've been through, what you've suffered through. And we're all like, the audience is all women, and they're all like, yeah, that guy sucks. Rachel, team Rachel, you know, and the other bachelorettes are weighing in, and they're like, girlfriend, I don't know how, you be strong, girl. You be strong. It's all that going on. And Tino's just like, Meh. Tino's up there and he apologizes profusely again. And he says, I'm sorry. I was caught up in this, you know, his claim is that he was caught up in the idea that the relationship was ending and he felt desperate and hopeless and he went and he did that. And he says, I shouldn't have done it. I made a mistake. Well, it's not enough. You even see in the audience one time, this is one of my favorite moments before we get to the end of it. In the audience, one of the women is like, he's talking and he's like, I'm sorry, and she's like, as if he had to just say, I'm sorry, the end. I am the devil. You are the angel. And I should not speak. Now beat me. Like, seriously. This guy wasn't even, just let him give his version of the story. We can all say cheating sucks, but let him give his side of the story. She's not walking on fucking water. Okay. And by the way, this is a girl, let me just remind you that she sent Avon home because even though he loved her, he wasn't willing to put the ring on right away. So she was like, oh, he was like, but I love you. And also she has another exchange with somebody, by the way, on the show who says you're different off camera than on camera. So I'm not willing to just say, I don't know her. She could be the most wonderful girl in the world, but I'm not going to be like, I know all the facts and she's walking on water and he's a scumbag. No, we can say he shouldn't have cheated. Now let's figure out what happened, or no. What they do at the end, let me show you an image of it. They bring Tino back. He's apologizing. She's at the table. It's like, Rachel. Everybody's on team Rachel. So he's already humiliated the guy, right? Okay. Now, maybe at home, you're like, well, he cheated. Okay. You know what? You make your bed, you sleep in it, you're there, you're part of the franchise. You had to know it was going to come out. You made your bed. You shouldn't have done that. And now you're going to eat dirt, I guess. Tyler, can you bring up that image that we have? What they do at the end of the show is they say, we can't play it, but I'm going to tell you, that's Avon. With Tino sitting on the set here and Rachel sitting on the set, Avon walks back. They're like, Rachel, somebody wants to see you. And it's Avon. It's Avon. So now this guy, Tino, who was engaged to her, who's been through all this stuff with her. Yes, he was at fault. I'm sure there were things which she was at. He's got to sit for that public humiliation where Avon now walks up to her. She and Avon walk off set together. They're like, would you like to talk to Avon? And she's like, there's nothing I'd rather do. Really, honey? Because a few months ago, I should say, you were telling Avon he wasn't good enough because he wasn't ready to get married instantly. Now all of a sudden, Avon is, I like Avon, by the way. Avon was my favorite throughout the show. I think she should have chosen Avon. But this stuff, so this was all but they turned it into a Scarlet Letter moment. This guy on the stage, yes, I get it. He cheated. He should not have done that. This is sick what we're doing in society. Public humiliation of this guy who made a mistake, who acknowledged his mistake, who said he was sorry. Now she's going off stage with the other guy. I mean, it was just, he didn't even know what to do at the end. He's standing there, he's just like, I guess I'm done. And by the way, the Bachelorette franchise, you're disgusting. Because Jesse's sitting there like, well, I don't know. It's live TV. I can't believe what's happening. We were so unprepared for horseshit. Horseshit. Nothing happens in television. I worked for ABC. Nothing happens in television that you don't know about like that as a host of it. It just doesn't happen. That does not happen. Somebody is in your ear. Seriously, if someone takes a shit in another room, they're like, Jed, in case you hear that noise, someone's taking a shit in room 3. I'm not kidding. That is how it is on television. So you cannot tell me. You can even see in the video, which I can't show you. You should go and see it yourself, that at one point, Rachel's like looking ahead of time, and she knows that something's going on. This was planned for him to come back and humiliate this guy, Tino. So here's what I have to say about this. And then I'm going to get to Tyler on this, because Tyler, you may or may not have an opinion.
Shocking that a produced reality television show.
But this is serious, because no, seriously, look at what they're doing. I mean, I just can't even believe it anymore. I actually, because I've watched the show for a long time. I don't watch every season. Some seasons I've missed throughout the years, but I remember watching it when it was like Trista and Ryan, and they like went off. They actually got married. They're still married. There was like something nice about it. Are we just so morally just wrecked that now it's just like, I mean, really, I felt like I was watching like a public like hanging. Let's wreck this guy. How can we humiliate him? And the guy didn't know. He was just like, oh shit. So here's my thing. If Rachel didn't want to be with him, why didn't they just let him go? Why? See, if that were me, I don't tolerate cheating. I would have just said, grown ass woman, I would have said, listen, I'm not into cheating. Like, it doesn't work for me. I take responsibility for what I said. You take responsibility for what you said. Things happen. We didn't handle it well, but now it's done for me. I just can't go back. So I'm sorry for whatever role I played on my side in the way the conversations went, but there's no excuse in my book for cheating, and I just can't get past it. I wish you well. Have a nice life. Why is that hard? Because everybody's a fucking baby. She's all in the video. I mean, it's ridiculous. Go watch the video. She's all like, hey, I can't believe Tino. I mean, it's vomit inducing. Okay. So, they could have had a nice conversation on the set, and he could have been like, listen, I'm sorry. You sure? And she would have been like, I'm sure. I'm sorry. Like, you cheated on me. That's cheating in my book. You made out with somebody. She says at one point there's a lot of steps, because it's true. You don't just make out with somebody. It's like, did you text each other? Who picked who up? Whose house did you land at? Were you at a bar? It takes a while to get to that stage where lips touch. You know it. So she says that. Okay, she could have just said that and been done. Wish you well. But no, they need the drama, which is how they cast these shows. Because they don't cast for sane people. They cast for the fucking crazy. If you like the short clip and want to watch another short clip, click here. Or if you want to watch the full episode, click right here.